Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to another virtual town hall event with the Richmond County School System. I am your host, Haley LaQuesta, Director of Media and PR. And tonight we're here to talk about one of the central tenets that drives all the work in our school system, which is safe and secure learning environments. Unfortunately, it's a timely conversation that we have tonight. We'd be remiss if we didn't address that a few days ago, our young people were involved in two unfortunate incidents at Augusta Mall and later at a residential area. And when these incidents occur, there's always a question of what our community does and how we come together to create safe environments for all of our students, staff, and families. So with that being said, I'm joined here tonight by two special people, our Deputy of Operations and Administrative Services, Mr. Marcus Allen, and our own Chief of Police, our Director of Public Safety, Chief Mantrell Wilson. So we're here today to provide some updates on safety, some projects that are coming up, and answer people's questions. To our audience, as you listen to Mr. Allen's presentation, before we begin the Q&A session, you'll see a button either at the top or the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. As you're listening to the presentation, feel free to drop your question in that Q&A, and at the end of the presentation, we will get to answering your questions, as many as we can. We do not answer questions that concern specific students, so if there is specific names and things like that, we won't be covering those. But if you would like to drop your contact information in there as well for specific information, please feel free. But thank you for joining us tonight, Mr. Allen and Chief Wilson.
Thank you.
So before we jump into our presentation, Chief Wilson, do you want to give a little bit of an overview of public safety in your department and how you serve our school system?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. We in the Richmond County School System, we have increased our personnel. We have increased a lot of initiatives and efforts to serve our community. We reach out to the public. Of course, we have so many venues to reach out in terms of the Sprigio and also the Let's Talk, the hotline. And so we try to be a resource to the community 24 hours a day, so that even things that happen in the middle of the evening, then they could report them and we can respond to them as does need be and take the necessary precautions that the next day may bring. And so we run a 24 hours. We don't have people out 24 hours. However, we do have on-call personnel. So we've added, again, initiatives and put people in place so that we could serve our constituents around the clock.
Thank you for that. With that, are we ready to start our presentation, Mr. Allen?
Absolutely, Ms. LaQuesta. So if it's okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. So again, I'm Marcus Allen, Deputy Superintendent for the Richmond County School System. And again, like Ms. LaQuesta said, we're unfortunately having to share safety updates, but we are excited at the same time to be able to share with you guys things that we are focused on in the Richmond County School System, and then also teaming with our community partners, our parents, and then also our school leaders and students to be able to provide a safe environment. So I will work to provide some safety updates that we are going through currently in the Richmond County School System, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So next slide. All right, want to highlight our mission statement, our vision statement, and a few of our beliefs as well. So we do believe in empowering every learner every day. We think that's important, not just obviously for our students, but this is important like today for us to learn from you guys as a community, but then also for you all as a community to learn what we're absolutely trying to improve upon here in the Richmond County School System. We also believe that we want to prepare every student to thrive and adapt and lead in an ever-changing world. Some of the safety concerns that we have today are very different than they were 10 years ago. So we want to make sure we're preparing everybody in the school system, all stakeholders, to be able to thrive and adapt as the world is ever-changing. And in our beliefs, I will focus on the last bullet, that our ultimate goal is to provide safety for all. And this is a priority, not only for our students, which are primary, but also for our staff and also for our community. As we invite you guys into various events, sporting events, events at our schools, we want to make sure everybody feels safe. Also on our strategy map, I will hone in on the safe and secure learning environment. And on the second bullet, we want to make sure that we focus on and ensure physical and emotional safety by enhancing security measures and providing emotional supports for students and staff. Before I go into our bus support, I do want to say that 28 of our schools have virtual mental health services. We have 6 mental health counselors that are spread and support all of our schools, but 28 of our schools have mental health support virtually that a parent can ask, they can sign up for. And then we're hoping in the next month that all of our schools, all schools and all programs will have access to this free opportunity as well. And so we'll be sharing more about that in the coming weeks. But we do want you all to know that safety is not only a put things in action, but it's also providing mental health support as well. One major issue that we're trying to focus on is our bus safety. We know that when we're transporting students, that it is the most precious commodity that we have as they are moving from school to home or from home to school. But we also recognize it's also a challenge for issues to arise, and we work on those consistently. So things that we're doing to improve our bus safety is we are looking to add additional bus coaches on various routes and at each school. What that will look like is that bus coach, if there's a need to ride a bus, they will ride that bus to support the driver and our students. In addition, they will help to gather any discipline data that's necessary as well, so we can make decisions based upon that data if more bus coaches are needed, if there's a different route that needs a bus coach as well. So we're excited about continuing to add to our bus coach group in the next couple of weeks. Also, we're adding a bus discipline app. We want to make sure that when there are behavior issues, that we do 2 things. One, that issue is resolved quickly, but also parents are notified as soon as possible as well. And so the bus discipline app will allow our bus drivers, when the route is over, to be able to write the discipline referral up for our administrators to get an email at their specific school and be able to respond to that discipline concern relatively quickly. And then our parents will also get an email or a text message to say what has happened as well. So you will also get a phone call anytime anybody is suspended off of a bus, or if there's a major issue, or if it's just a concern. The school administrators will give you a call, but we also want to make sure there's a digital footprint whenever there are issues on the bus. So we are implementing a bus discipline app as well. We're piloting that at 9 of our schools, and we're hoping to expand that in the next month to all of our schools. Also, we're looking at stronger progressive discipline. What we are realizing is that sometimes we have the same students creating the same issues on buses. And our desire is to support students as best we can, provide conflict resolution through various means, see what supports that student may need. But however, riding the bus is a privilege. And so we want to make sure if it's a continual issue that the next fight on the bus could result in those bus privileges being revoked for students who are continually causing issues for others to ride. We have to walk a fine line in providing safety and support for all students, but also making sure that if it's something that's not being resolved through progressive discipline, that riding the bus is a privilege and students' riding privileges could be revoked. Next topic, Dr. Cobb, when she became our interim superintendent, her primary goal was to make sure that all of our high schools by the end of first semester of the 25-26 school year have metal detectors in place. As a result of that, we started this initiative around February of last school year. And so currently we have 4 schools who have metal detectors, that being Cross Creek, Laney, Josie, Butler. And a caveat with Josie and Murphy Middle School being connected, Murphy Middle School also has metal detectors as well. And the primary goal of those metal detectors is to make sure that we are trying to deter as much as possible any type of weapon being brought into our school system or in our schools. Also our athletic events as well. But we want to reiterate that is not a substitute for just the human element of safety. When you see something, please say something. And our stakeholders, whether that is parents, students, whether that's faculty members, have done an amazing job to make sure that they're supporting safety in that way as well. Our next 2 schools that we're hoping to bring on by the end of this week would be Westside and Glen Hills as they bring on metal detectors. And the rest of our comprehensive high schools will be in place before Thanksgiving, and we are shooting before the end of October as well. We had a few schools who were under construction, and so we wanted to make sure that construction was squared away first, and they have a solid plan to be able to implement the metal detector process. For those schools who have not implemented metal detectors yet, and this can be our middle schools as well, we are providing random wanding of students as they come in. We want to make sure that even though you don't have a metal detector, that there is a form of metal detection in place that happens throughout our schools. support that comes in place for metal detector. We want to make sure that parents are communicated to well in advance when there is a school that's bringing on the metal detector. So a plan is written, that plan is communicated to staff first, and then it's communicated to students and then the community. And then we also provide training for staff that we bring in to support the metal detectors every morning. It is a process, and what we found that after a day or so of delays, that school staff and students do a great job of making that move very quickly where there is no delay in instruction for our students. And finally, we want to talk a little bit about terroristic threats and threats that happen consistently. Chief Wilson spoke a little bit earlier about Sprigeo. Sprigeo is our report for bullying, but it does much more than that. It's an anonymous way to report tips or threats that may happen in the school or any minor issue that may pop up as well. When we get those threats or things that happen, there is a call that goes out to several people across the district, that school principal as well. And I want you to know we have to take those very seriously, that they monitor those through the tip line. And so when conversations or even statements that are made that may seem very minor to the person making the statements, it is taken very seriously by those who are receiving those threats, and also principals have to respond accordingly. And in some cases, it does result in criminal charges, students being sent to tribunal. And when students are not in class, there are no winners. So we want to really encourage our school principals to make sure they're consistently saying that message for students to be thoughtful about what they say. And then also parents at home in our community to be able to support that, making sure that we're aware of what is said can have really strong consequences as we work through controlling terroristic threats. In addition to that, we are really soliciting our parents and our community's help with our bus threats as well. We've had some issues where parents may get on a bus to try and resolve an issue, and it has resulted in some cases with parents being charged as well. Again, there is no winner in that situation. So please, if there are issues that arise, work with your school principal or teacher first. If it's not resolved there, please call the district office. There are assistant superintendents aligned to each of our 2 in elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high, who work very diligently to get those problems resolved. So we're asking for you all to please give us an opportunity to be able to work through those issues so we can work together to make our school system for our students a safe place where they can learn and thrive. All right. Thank you, Ms. Haley.
I thank you for those updates. So now I think we're ready to go into the Q&A portion of our event. So I have received a few questions in advance, and we'll go into those first. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to click the button at the top or the bottom of your screen that says Q&A to input your question. So with that being said, we'll bring on Mr. Allen and Chief Wilson. And your first question that I have for you, has there been any consideration by the Board of Education to establish a partnership with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office to create a gang task force?
Well, we work in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office. They've been very supportive of all of our endeavors that we have. So it's something that we are. It's something that it could be an initiative that we could continue to work on, that we can look into. But there's just, like I said, there's a lot of things that we're doing in conjunction now, and so that's a possibility.
Okay. So I have another question here. What supports are currently being implemented at the school and district level, both proactive and reactive, to address the community level violence amongst teens? Have there been any considerations of school zone changes to address the community level spillover? So we'll split this up into two. So let's address this first one. What supports are currently being implemented at the school and district level, proactive and reactive, to address violence amongst teens?
So I'll start first, and I'm sure Chief Wilson can kind of chime in. I think at the root of all of these issues, from a discipline standpoint, we really want to work on decision making with our students. And so in our school climate department, we have 2 support people for positive behavioral intervention systems and strategies. And so they go out and they really work with our teachers and our counselors to implement positive response behavior as well. And so we're really trying to get at the root of decision making and how to respond to conflict resolution. So that is something that's been, we added an extra position in school climate to try and support all of our schools. That is a preventative side of the discipline matrix. If we can solve it before, that's a key part. On the back end, sort of the reactive question is that when students do find themselves, when they've made poor decisions as a result of something they said or that they've done, there is a tribunal process. And we want to make sure what we really try to improve upon is that any student that is transitioning to any alternative school or any suspension that's in place, we're really looking at ways to not make that just an out of school issue, to make sure there's some support with that as well, to make sure they transition appropriately. Are there grades in place? So we have a transitional specialist at the alternative school to help ensure services transfer and that students have that support in place as well. If it's a regular suspension, we're also exploring options to how can we get community response? Can we get our students out responding with community events to be able to teach that decision making as well?
Well, in addition to, we wrote out our what's called this NRA thing with the National Rifle Association, and what it is we teach gun safety in K through first grade. I'm sorry, it's not so much gun safety, but ways to identify and make better decisions if you find yourself in that position that you encounter guns. So we want to teach the children to stay away from them initially. Also, we continuously serve as a resource. We teach classes we step in the classrooms all the way up until the senior level to speak to the students, tell them what the laws are, teach them about the laws, what happens, what the possible punishment for situations could be, just to help them make better decisions. Help them stay away and try to make the streets not so attractive.
Yeah, and I love what you said about, kindergarten through third grade, really starting elementary school, having those conversations about safety. So kind of talking about the second part of this question, have there been considerations of school zone changes to address the community level spillover and how it has impacted school level discipline?
Yeah, we have to be really careful about school zone changes because sometimes there are unintended consequences with schools being unfortunately more full than others. And so we do have a facilities master plan that we are working through where we consider space and programming for our students as well. So there hasn't been necessarily consideration in that area, but we want to make sure that if students have a specific need within a school, that we are facilitating that need through process that we have in the system as well.
I have another question here. I'm reading through. Are we on track to have metal detectors at the end of the school year? Is there consideration outside of high schools? I think you touched on that a little bit already. But do you want to expand any more on that?
Yeah, so there are some supports that are already in middle schools as well. We want to be really careful about saying all of those, but middle schools, there are some support within our hallways and restrooms that detect certain issues that arise when it comes to certain language that's said, that alerts to our administrators. But our primary focus was to ensure first that we get the high schools right, which we are on track to not only have that done first semester, but again, before Thanksgiving of this year. And then once we've identified any issues that has arisen from installing high school metal detectors, our goal is to move down to middle school to see what that looks like. Is it needed based upon the data in certain places? And, I think our data does support that we want to create safety in those spaces. What that looks like, we're going to bring a team together to make sure we make good decisions on that.
And in those pilot schools, what kind of feedback have you been hearing from students, from staff, or from families?
Well, a lot of feedback is extremely positive. It gives them a sense of security. It shows that we are going that extra mile. We're putting pieces in place to assist in making sure that we can maintain a secure and nurturing educational environment. That's what they're for. They're there to assist that we can detour the bad behavior, and we can create a safe space for kids to come and comfortably learn, so that they're able to come to school safely and we're able to return them home the same.
Now, moving a little bit away from metal detectors, another important part of safety is mental safety, emotional safety among our students too. Can you talk a little bit about the resources that are in place to address mental health, to address students who might be struggling with that, and how you approach that in the school level?
So yeah, I think there are a few ways that even step into place before the student is even aware. Our IT department, they monitor our computers consistently, and so sometimes there are when students search certain things that create concern, there are alerts that are sent to principal, city superintendent, myself as well, and those are responded to appropriately. So if someone is searching self-harm or anything in that way, we respond to those immediately. That parent will receive a phone call primarily from that principal, and then we provide immediate support either through crisis line or through some of our staff going out. Even in certain cases when the parent may not be able to be reached, if that's the case, our public safety team will go out and provide support as well. So that happens behind the scenes. Sprigio is a really good way where we get the information as well. Now, once the staff is aware of that, a team will get together to make sure they assess the need for the student along with the parent. And so that could range from the mental health counselor coming in, that could range from our virtual mental health support. And again, at the core of the work, we have really good counselors already in each of our building that we want to make sure they're supporting students. They know them well. And teachers, I don't want to ignore teachers. They do a fantastic job each day. Just sometimes a kind word and how we speak to people and encourage them makes a difference as well. So this is a layered approach between the monitoring of concerns to guidance counselors, to mental health counselors, to the crisis hotline, all the way up to our virtual mental health support as well, along with our teachers.
Thank you for that. Chief, anything that you want to add?
Or just as Mr. Allen said, we also will serve as the resource. That way that we can get the child what they need as soon as possible. Our main goal is to make sure that whatever ideations they may have, we get them to the right place, whether it be to a counselor or whether we have to go down to one of our healthcare facilities. But the point is to very quickly get them to the additional trained professionals to make sure that that child does not do themselves any or anyone else any harm for that nature.
Mhm. Another question here. Can you talk about, because the duties of a school resource officer are often a little bit different from, say, a Richmond County Sheriff's Office officer. What are some of the roles that school resource officers have in terms of creating those positive relationships with students with law enforcement?
Well, we have a very unique opportunity so that we have the same trainings. We are state certified law enforcement officer, peace officer in the state of Georgia, and we've been deputized by the sheriff to work outside of our realm. However, we have additional training that we go to to deal with the crisis intervention, to deal with the children that may be having a mental situation. Um, we work to be more of a resource. So we serve as the resource first, resource before the officer portion. We try to give children what they need in terms of knowing what to do, what not to do, make better decisions, the laws, and we can deal with it not from a prosecution portion, but just from a conversational point. And so we love to give that opportunity and to be able to give the children someone that they can talk to that's outside of their teacher or their counselor, and just to be a listening ear and to be whatever resource we can be for them.
Yeah, and making relationships with those students that they do feel comfortable enough to say something when they have a concern or something happens to them. Um, Want to shift gears a little bit and talk about bullying. So we mentioned a few times we have an anonymous safety tip line. You can always go to a safe adult in one of our schools to report bullying concerns. But can you kind of walk us through what happens when a student staff member, family member brings up a case for bullying, what happens when they talk to their teacher or they submit a Sprigeo tip line tip about bullying in a school?
Absolutely. So that tip, when it goes through Sprigeo, so let me start by saying you don't have to go through Sprigeo as well. There's nothing wrong with going to your school, filling out. There's a bullying packet that can be completed as well. I know not everybody has the online information. That is still a process. And then our administration and council will work through that by interviewing students and trying to get the best information to make the most sound decisions as well. When it goes through Sprigeo, initially it goes in, that alert goes to that principal, that school administrator as well. If it's an assistant principal, counselor also, it goes to that assistant superintendent specifically over that school. It goes to that admin assistant. It goes to a few of our support people in student services who provide counseling services as well. It will come to me also. And so there's a plethora of people who receive that information. And then there is a two-way response. It will let you know someone is working on this. Marcus Allen responds, he is working on this as well. And so you get a notification that someone's working on this. If it's late at night, someone may give the student or that parent a call, depending upon the situation. And then the next day at school, there's a follow-up to whatever the need may be, just like you turn in the regular bullying packet as well through an investigation. We want to put some levels of intervention in place. Sometimes that's a conversation. Sometimes that's consequences. Sometimes that's a separation. That could be a letter to both students asking them to please not communicate. And then at the end of the Sprigeo, there's a closing out of what that looks like, what the resolution was to that situation. That allows us to kind of track where we're seeing issues at the office and also with that school as well. Also in our school climate department, we're tracking that data to make sure from a PBIS or preventative standpoint, we can go out and provide specific support from that. So if there's a ton of conflict resolution needed at a certain high school in a certain grade level, then we target that support there.
And also it just depends on the level of bullying, what comes in, and it depends on what level of like Mr. Allen said, what activates. The wrong level comes in, it comes in what we perceive as a threat to bodily harm. Okay, then that activates our office, and regardless of what time it is in the evening, we're going to investigate. We're going to exhaust the investigation to make sure that that threat is not a viable threat. And if we do find it to be so, then we're going to deal with it from the criminal side, just to make sure that the parents know that these things, and the children know for that rate, if these things happen, that we are monitoring and we are active regardless of what time of evening it may very well be.
So for those of us, you mentioned PBIS. For those of us who are not familiar with that term, can you explain what that means?
Absolutely. So as positive behavior intervention systems or strategies. And the goal for that is just like anybody, whenever we have positive behavior, when that's rewarded, people have a tendency to replicate that behavior. So on the school level, elementary school, you may have heard that they have like bucks or office supplies, and they give out different trinkets or things like that when students get a certain number of points for behavior. At the middle and high school level, we look at more strategies to be able to support students as well. So sometimes it's a positive phone call that goes home to a parent. Right now, we use a minor system for behavior called Spotlight, and teachers throughout our district will put positive behavior into that system, so that parent gets a positive text message. Johnny was behaving in class today. He turned in all of his work as well. And so our goal is to be as positive as we possibly can when we see that behavior, to reward that more frequently than we do responding to negative behavior as well. So PBIS looks to provide positive support, highlight the positive things that students are doing, and reward them for that at various levels.
And I like that you mentioned Spotlight, because parents are actually able to see issues of discipline in the classroom through their Infinite Campus parent portal in that Spotlight section.
Right.
All right. Double checking one more time to see if we have any other questions coming in. I'm seeing none. Before I close this out, is there anything that either of you want to say? Any messages to parents? Any exciting things happening in the school safety department before I close this out?
Well, there's always something exciting happening still in school safety. We're always looking for the latest and the greatest, most innovative ways to make sure that we are able to safely get the children to school, safe at school, and safe from school. And so there's always things that's exciting there. But we would like to share with the parents that if you have a firearm in your home, then please secure that firearm. Some sort of lock box, something that your child cannot access, um, just to make sure that they can't get it. And maybe you have taught them gun safety and how to handle a gun, but I think that them having some sort of lock to secure that item would just help us to keep weapons out of this school system. And so if they could do that and then work with your kids, talk to your children, make sure you have a good understanding report and reach out. We're here at all times, like Ms. Allen said, with the Sprigio and everything. We're here to be a resource. If you hear something out of in the community, if you hear something that your child may have shared, share it with us and let us exhaust whatever it may be to help us to make sure that your child is safe.
And just to kind of piggyback on what Chief Wilson said, one thing that his department is working on as well is, and I'll kind of show the flyer that we'll get out. It's this Eddie Eagle program. And so I won't steal your thunder, Chief. You want to talk a little bit about that? I want to make sure you touch on that for our people watching.
Well, the Eddie Eagle program, it comes as an interactive video that we will come in and we will show to the children. We pretty much focus around the pre-K all the way up to the 3rd, 4th grade. We'll bring them in and we'll go through the video, and as well, we'll talk to the children at that time, tell them about gun safety, give them the what we think they need, the confidence to make the right decisions, because we know that there are oftentimes, I'm sorry, that children would make the popular decision and not the right decision. And so we're trying to help them make the right decision and not so much focus on the popular decision. And especially when we're dealing with firearms, and just to help them understand that we need to stay away from them. And that's just not what we want to do. We don't want to deal with firearms and just find a grown up, share it with a grown up versus putting your hands on it. So I think I'm excited about it, to roll it out to the children and see what type of reception we get, and let's do what we can to keep the guns out of our school systems.
Absolutely.
And Haley, I'll kind of close from our team with this. What Chief just said is really important. They're working on building trust. We know that as our beliefs and our mission and vision talk about transparency being the foundation of trust. And so what we recognize as a school system is that two-way communication, being as honest as we possibly can, knowing that when parents are upset when things happen, whether that's an issue on a bus or someone saying something inappropriate to their child, we recognize their frustration. And so we desire above all else, because we could put all the initiatives in place, we can believe all we want to about success, but if there is not trust, then we lose the foundation of any program that we put in place. So our hope is, and our ask is, that our community gives us a chance. They give us a call when they have a concern. We know we have a responsibility to be able to respond appropriately, to be able to support appropriately, and to make sure we're honest when we don't fulfill what we're being asked to do. That's our mission. We want to be as transparent as possible to make sure we can build trust, because when trust is in place, then we can do some great things. So we're excited about building that trust with the community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Mr. Allen and Chief Wilson, for joining us tonight for our School Safety Town Hall. For our audience, any questions that we've talked about tonight will be uploaded to our website at rcboe.org/townhall after this event, usually within 48 hours. A recording of this event will also be available on that page, so that you can always look back and watch again. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us. Shoot us an email. Let us know what subjects you want to hear next at rcsscommunications@boe.bridgman.k12.ga.us, but we'll be sending a survey out too to all of our attendees who submitted questions. Thank you again, and We hope to see you next time.